Lightspeed Lego review number 80, set 75397. The Ultimate Collector Series Jabba Sail Barge is absolutely gorgeous. Now, I won't have enough time to go over every little detail in this short time, so if you're interested in a longer review, then let me know below. Let's start off with one of the only small gripes I have with the exterior design, the lack of the proper inclusion of the small ridge at the middle of the bow. While we are up front, I also want to point out the seemingly missing piece from this support in the railing. This is not actually a mistake and is actually accurate to the in-movie model. Moving up onto the nicely tied off deck, we have the large dual laser cannon, which has just enough space for an operator and a decent range of motion. There are also two smaller anti-personnel cannons attached to the railings. Before we hop on inside, I'll point out my only other tiny gripe with the exterior, which has to do with the titular sails, specifically the use of the pins with ball connectors. I do understand why they're being used, but they do distract from the otherwise very smooth look of the sails. To get inside the barge, we have 3 points of entry, 2 of these smaller trapdoors, as well as a pair of slightly larger doors a bit further back. There are also 8 openable windows on each side, which are thankfully brick built as opposed to their previously used stickers. Now, to actually access the interior, we can open each side in 3 segments, as well as remove the deck in 2 pieces. The interior itself has also been separated into 4 rooms, starting from the front with the cockpit, which is closed off from the rest of the barge with a sliding door. In the room itself, we have several screens and control panels, as well as 2 seats for pilots. Behind the cockpit, we have the armory with weapons for most included figures. This room also has 2 of the access points to the deck with this pair of ladders and a small jail cell. The next room over is the kitchen, which has all kinds of little details, as well as the 3rd access point to the deck. The 4th and final room is Jabba's throne room, which is mostly taken up by the titular throne. However, at the very back, there is also just enough space for Max Rebo's red ball organ. Now, before we move on to the figures, let's take a quick look at the stands, one of which is basically just a long brick with space for 10 of the 11 figures, and the other accommodating the main wonderful human being himself with the plaque. Now for the figures, let's start with Jabba himself, who's just slightly updated from 2012, so basically perfect. Next we have Salacious B. Crumb, who's also great, but has no damn pupils, something I personally don't mind, but I get the people who do. Then we have R2 with his serving tray and a couple drinks. It's R2 with a serving tray and a couple drinks. Next is 3PO without his dual-molded leg. What the hell? For how much this set costs, I would expect the best version of each figure they have, but I guess that's too much to ask, which is just insulting, honestly. Then we have Wism, Cathaba, and Woof, all very good figures of very minor characters, who could have used leg prints, but work fine as they are. Next is the Gamorrean Guard, another figure LEGO mastered in 2012, just fantastic. Then Bib Fortuna, who's mostly really good, but they really should have given him a new headpiece, instead of reusing the one from Book of Boba Fett. Second to lastly, we have Slave Leia, who seems to be the most controversial figure here, which should not be the case. Like, I understand you can't go to her as hard because her thighs are covered up, but there are worse figures here. No, but in all seriousness, it is a bit silly they gave her a full skirt, because while I kinda understand why, it was not at all necessary. At least they gave her a beautiful new hairpiece. And then I saved the best for last. It's Max Rebo, and of course, he's magnificent. Overall, I really do love this set. The build is absolutely beautiful, and while there are problems with the figures, they are mostly still good. But it sets you back $500. Now, there are additions that could make that palatable, but as is, this should have been $400, maybe $430. $450 is majorly pushing it, and anything beyond that is just ridiculous. 7.5 out of 10. Let me know your thoughts below, and like and subscribe for more.